In this video, I'll be analyzing two of the Black Mirror episodes, 15 Million Merits and Nosedive, which were the screenings of this class. 15 Million Merits represents fame-driven economy. I found magic system, hegemony, and hegemonic negotiation to be significant elements in this episode. My first perception of this 15 Million Merits is that the ruling class decides the fate of the person for societal benefits as people lose their identities into the brainwashing system. Inside the repetitive lifestyle, Bing Madison meets Abby Khan, finally finding something real, a human connection, and is something he actually cares about in this soulless, empty society. Bing buys a hotshot ticket for Abby. However, in this hegemonic system of giving society the message of fame equals a higher position in society, Abby is being offered to be placed into a pornography channel despite her intention of wanting to be a singer. She eventually becomes the product of this society, losing her initial intention, just to get out of the repetitive life cycle. Bing Madison realizes this heartless system of society and tries to stand up against it. This is a good example of counter-hegemony, questioning the dominant ideology of the system, desiring to fight against it. This episode also reminded me of Tooth Jolly's video of how advertising is an inevitable part of our life. People are trapped under a magic system, brainwashed by advertisement that makes them think fame gives them happiness. Being seen an advert featuring Abby, he is unable to look away from the ads. Just like how it is in real life, advertisements everywhere, we see them so often that it is normalized. The climax showed Bing speaking up against the system, but it is seen as a complete performance. Bing ends up losing his beliefs and values just to get out of this repetitive system, wanting something a little better. Bing ends up having his own channel featuring his anger and passion as an entertainment. This episode shows how inevitable it is to get out of the system and how people are hypocrites in the end. People trade real morals for a better living style. The system seems as if it is a force, but it reminds me of the riddle of steel. It is a hegemonic negotiation with consent, and how it is human nature to desire being in a higher part of society, even if it requires them to sacrifice their beliefs. This fame-driven economy in 15 Million Merits, thinking fame as the goal of life, is similar to the Nosedive. I consider Nosedive similar to 15 Million Merits, and that is because there is a representation of the magic system, the momentary pleasure from consumption, and also the interpolation of society that categorizes social class by the level of fame. Just like Bing, Lacey begins to become counter-hegemonic, questioning what real happiness means to her by meeting Susan at hitchhiking, realizing life is much freer to live with honesty, without caring about ratings. Lacey then eventually becomes upset over the hypocritical system, finally becomes herself, giving an honest speech at Naomi's wedding, what she has been wanting to say, decides to act against the norm created in the society, not caring about the ratings anymore. Despite Lacey ends up in a prison with the rating technology system removed, the audience can see the irony that being in prison is much freer than living in society that is obsessed over ratings. Happiness depends on the perception. What I thought Lacey was different from Bing in 15 Million Merits is that she has stopped being part of the brainwashing system by finding out that following this social system doesn't bring her happiness. So instead, live against the norm. I like this episode because even though Black Mirror episodes usually end hopelessly, this is one of the only shows that end optimistic. I thought that both 15 Million Merits and Nosedive are a symbolic but realistic depiction of the dark side of social system. I love Black Mirror because I believe that analyzing this show itself is counter-hegemonic, questioning the dominant ideology of society, and I think the depiction of underlying side in human nature is a significant topic that should be talked about in films.